Live now.
We are live.
All right.
Awesome. So let's get started with this Projector Fireside Gathering number 11. Dunstan, you're on.
Hi. We need a fire now, don't we, with this cooler weather we're having. So thanks, Relika. And we have Alyssa, who's just settling in a little. And we know a little bit about Alyssa, and we're looking forward to getting to know her better. Alyssa, welcome.
Thank you.
And if you can just adjust your screen so we can see you, that'd be great.
Yeah, I'm working on it. I'm making it a bit like...
And we're looking forward to hearing a little bit about your life, looking at your chart, and seeing where the two things match up, hearing about where you're at in your journey as a projector in the human design system. And yeah, how are you doing, first of all, Alyssa?
I'm doing fine.
Great. Yeah? Whereabouts in the world are you right now?
I'm in Finland.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah, it's like
I love
2
Finland.
p.m. here.
Yep, you're 2 hours ahead. I'm in the UK. Fantastic. So let's start. So when did you first hear about human design?
I first heard about human design in 2012, actually.
2012, yeah?
Yeah, and then it was just my friend like showing me, because I talked a lot about astrology at that time. And then my friend was like, hey, check this out. And there was this rave chart, and I was like, okay, what the hell is this? And then I actually tried to research it, but I couldn't find anything. So
Alyssa, is there any way we could have a little more volume? I don't know if you could come a bit closer to the mic. It's a little bit of a strain.
Volume. Okay, wait.
It'd be great to hear everything nice and clearly that you're sharing.
Better?
That's nice. That's great. Thank you.
All right. Is it enough, or you want more?
Perfect. That's absolutely perfect.
All right.
Great. Yeah. So you were saying you saw the body graph for the first time. Someone shared that with you.
Yes, I was interested, but I tried to research it, but I couldn't find anything.
Okay. So
I was 21 at that time.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe it was just too early.
And when did you get into your experiment?
It was in 2018, last year, 1.5 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what was the catalyst? What did it come back to you onto your radar in some way?
Yeah, it came back to me. I was actually moving out from my house, and then there were two my friends I know. They came to check the house, and then they were like talking about human design, and then they were like, yeah, you're a projector. And then I was like, okay, what does this mean, and what is this? And then the other one was projector, and his boyfriend was generator, and they just talked. Like, I remember them talking that, okay, projectors need to take energy from outside, and you don't have to work. And I was like, yeah, I don't want to work. And then I just started to study it more, and then just went like really deep.
So did they guess you were a projector without knowing your chart? Was that?
Yeah, I remember them being like.
They could feel that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing. Can you do the same? You can feel when there's no sacral, when you're talking to someone, you can feel that, like. Yeah.
But it's with me. I don't know how much you've followed my post, but I had this a little bit of crisis, because if I turn my birth time 1 minute earlier, I'm a generator.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm a bit like, okay, what am I? But like the people who know projectors and know human design, they are like, yes, you're a projector.
Yeah. So you're right on the cusp there. Should we have a little look at your chart? Let's see if we can find you. Yeah. So and what kind of projector are you? Tell us a bit more about your projectorness. What else do you know about it?
I'm an energy projector. I have one motor in the root.
Mm-hmm.
I have one channel going. I think it's the channel of not transformation, but channel of like some kind of construction or something. I don't remember. But yes. And split definition, like there's this mental thing and then there's this like splenic intuitive.
Let's pull your chart up so everyone can see.
Yeah.
And here you are. Is that coming through okay?
Yes.
Fantastic. So you have the 3254 channel, which is part of the tribal circuit. And you also have the 2343, which is an individual channel.
Yes.
And so you have 4 centers defined, and then you have, which are the colored in ones, and then you have 5 centers which are not defined. And of those, your will center is totally open, has no gate activations. And it doesn't even, it's a bit similar to, I think it was Thomas that we looked at his chart, where it doesn't even have a gate activation pointing at it.
Yeah.
So your chart is totally white on the manifested channels that connect the throat down to the emotional center and connecting the throat down to the will as well. So that's quite interesting, isn't it? You've only got 4 hanging gates that are on white centers, that are on centers that are not defined. So you've got a lot of definition on the root, a lot of gates on there, quite a few on the throat. Right, and so you're a split definition, same as me. I've got all of those centers that you've got defined, and I've got 2 more. So and your authority is splenic. So tell us a little bit about. So when you first heard, okay, I'm a projector. Which parts of your life, when you looked back, made sense more clearly when you understood you were a projector?
Which parts made sense? Maybe the sensitivity is one, and the other one is probably why I never succeeded in anything. And one thing is that why I always felt that I can't work, like I can't do this normal job or go to work, and actually I can't even, it's just somehow I just always felt really different.
Yeah.
And that's kind of clicked.
So being a projector made sense with that.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And the sleeping a lot parts.
Yep. Resting a lot, waiting for some energy.
Yes.
Okay. So what was life like from? Did you grow up in Finland? Was that where you come from?
Yes.
And so and how old are you right now?
28.
Okay.
28, and I'm gonna be 29 on November.
Okay. So what do you know about the 6th line? Because you're a 4/6 profile, aren't you? And have you done some research on that 6th line to know about how that works?
Yes. So there's like 3 stages, and I'm right now going to the roof, and I know that Ra said that 6th line people are kind of supposed to judge and be hypocrites because they know, because it's the role model, it's the end of the cycle. They know like what is the best way to be, they know what is the best way to live. So that's why they judge, because they know better. And then, but it doesn't mean that they can live up to those expectations. So and it's a kind of like doing my own thing, doing things the way that I want to do them, and not really bothering to listen to like other people's advice unless I want to listen to them.
And so, so you've come to the end of the first phase of the sixth line, or you're in that, you're right at that transition period.
Yes.
So the sixth line has three phases, from 0 to where you're at, and then from the second phase is up until around 50, and then the third phase is where the maturity comes for the role model part of that. So the first, what are some of the mistakes you've made? What are some of the things that you've tried as a third line from in this first part of your life? Do you resonate with that? Are there things in your life that you have adventures you've had through playing with that third line?
Yes. I haven't done anything like really extreme, but maybe maybe just I feel it's like I don't know what works. I don't know how I should be or do, or what should I do, and with who. This is the big thing. I've had really bad experiences in relationships.
Okay.
And kind of I've had this, okay, this is one big thing, that I've always had this, like maybe periods of 2 to 4 years that I do something really like invested in it, and then at some point it's just cuts. It's like, okay, this is done, this part of my life. And then I just moved out from the city. I went back to my childhood home. It was empty at the point. I moved out from there. I left all my contacts there, all my friends. I didn't have any contact with my friends after that. And also the job or the interest I was doing at the time, I was like, okay, I'm done with this. And then I just went, I quit everything. I went to my childhood home, and I was quite depressed and lonely. I didn't have anything. And then something new just came up.
So you're thinking that maybe going to live in the city was like trying something to find out what works, what doesn't work?
Yeah. With living, it has been like in the first year when I moved out, I moved into the city. I moved 8 times in the first year.
Okay, so you tried lots of different places to live.
Yeah, and it wasn't like that I wanted to, somehow I wanted to do it, but it was mostly, I was so sick in many places. Like I've had this very severe mold illness that I understood that it's because of my brain, my limbic system. But anyways, it was so that it didn't matter where I went to live, I always got some like symptoms, and then I had to move out. So
you always got what? Sorry.
Symptoms. Like I got sick.
Symptoms.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I was just thinking, okay, maybe the houses are like moldy, or maybe this is not good place. This is not good place. Then I just like tried to live in very like many different places and things. And also this place where I'm living now, I know I'm not going to stay here. It's just a matter of time when I leave.
I know that the Open G Center, I think I read some of your posts about the mold situation. The interesting thing, the Open G rule is to be with the right people in the right places.
Yeah.
So to find the places where you feel good. So it sounds from what you're saying like you're still working with that to find the places where you feel really good, just being with those people, being in that place.
Yeah, for sure.
And do you have any experiences of the other open centers? You mentioned feeling you've always been a very sensitive person who feels things around you a lot. And of course, having the totally open will is an interesting thing, isn't it? Because it's like it's the willpower to get things done, to finish things off. And I would imagine, I mean, I was almost diagnosed with depression at one stage in my life. And I would imagine that could be a label that could, or a diagnosis that could happen a lot with, especially with projectors without the will defined. And I think you mentioned in your bio that you've experienced, that feeling. I know as well in Finland you have a lot of time without the sun, right? So
Yeah.
it's coming into the winter. Do you feel like that's something you've experienced more than the people around you?
Yes, I could say that I've experienced my life to be. I don't kind of want to say this, but I will say anyways that I've experienced my life to be harder than for many people, in a way that I have issues that I don't know how to deal with, and they are really like capacitating my life, like really making me so that
making it tough, making it like
making it tough, so that I can't really do any normal stuff. I can't go to school, or I can't go to work because I like it's just not happening because I have these things I have to deal with. So, but yeah, I had a quite severe depression when I was a teenager, living in my with my family in my childhood home. And my family, there's 6 people. I'm the youngest, and I'm the only projector. The other people are generators, and my brother is a manifesting generator. And the thing is that the whole situation was like totally so absolutely toxic. And it was like my mother and father had 20 years of silent treatment towards each other because they did not know how to like fix their, they just had their hearts so closed. And I was living as a child. I was growing up in this environment, and I never really got any love from my mother. So I think that's contributed like a lot, so that I feel very much in not self, and I can't help it. So it's kind of all right.
Do you feel like sometimes, and there's obviously a lot of different factors, but do you feel like sometimes just having no energy is something that other people who don't understand what it is to be a projector can see someone with low energy and feel like, oh, that person's depressed, and put that label, or do you feel like it's do you think it's part of being a projector, then people look at you and say, oh, you're depressed, or do you think it's something else is on top of that?
Yeah, I think it's a common misconception that people think there's something wrong in projectors. Like for me personally, there's been many situations that generator people want me to be a slave for them. They are like, okay, now you can clean the house, and now you do this and this and this. And then I'm like, I can't, I don't have the energy. But before I would have just pushed it and got really sick. But yeah, I think it's so that people think there's something wrong.
I mean, it makes sense, doesn't it? If people are used to, it's a generator world, like the feeling of getting up every day with energy is something that most people as generators are going to have. And because it's like the way the world's set up, and go to work, do your work, come home, it makes sense that it is a bit of a strange thing, or that people would think, oh, there's something wrong with you if you don't fit into that system, into that pattern of, wake up, have energy to do stuff. It makes sense. So I would wonder if there aren't a lot of projectors who get kind of diagnosed as being depressed, which, and I have a mentor who's very clear about this, and what he says is, be very careful whatever word you put after I am. I am depressed. And Muji was talking about this as well. I don't know if you've come across Muji.
Yes.
An amazing, a man with amazing presence. It's just very interesting, like how we can so easily get labeled with something that's like it's a definition. It's like, oh, okay. Because I was sitting on the edge of this, and I was like, I am depressed. Okay, I'm a person who's depressed, and then it's kind of like all these certain things apply. So it's just really interesting to me. And You know, I wonder how it would be if we were in a world which just accepted, you know, hey, you've got no energy right now. You know, and have you found people? It sounds like these projector friends of yours obviously get that. Have you found other people in your life that just accept you how you are? If you roll up, hey, I got no energy today, or
no, I don't have friends. It's quite sad.
well, I don't know. It's really sad. I mean, like, isn't it better to be around no one that if no one gets you, isn't it better to be around yourself when you get you?
Yeah.
How have you found it being in the projector group with other people who talk about similar experiences of having no energy sometimes? How is that?
Oh, it's great. I have friends in projector groups. Or I don't know if I have friends, because sometimes I just go into not trolling but saying like provocative stuff. But yeah, it's great. It's really helped me like a lot to learn that these things that I'm feeling, I'm going through, it's normal, and especially for like us. But it's funny what you said about this depression thing, because right now I'm in a process to get therapy, like to get to get help in this thing. And it's funny because I go there and then they ask a bunch of questions, and then I tell them stuff. But at the same time, I totally have this knowing that there's nothing wrong with me. Like this is not something to cure inside me. It's not that I am wrong, but it's that this society now, as it is, it needs to change.
Right, because it maybe to get support or to get some allowance or to get that other people to understand how that you may not have energy the whole time. Is that the case, that it's like, oh, if you have a label of saying I've been diagnosed with depression, then people can kind of be like, oh, okay, she's got depression. Whereas if they could just be okay with the fact of like, hey, I've got energy, hey, I don't have energy, then that could be you wouldn't have to go through all of that.
Yeah, for sure. But it's with depression, I think it's a bit like how you label it. Because for me, I wanted to die for many years straight. And even sometimes I get this. If I have a really like tough moment, then I get this. But it's not just that. I'm actually quite okay with the fact that I don't have energy, and that's one of the blessings I got from this system, that I know that it's totally okay, and I know how to respect myself in this sense, and then I know that I just need to communicate it to others. If there's a thing, I will just say like, okay, sorry, I don't have energy right now, and it's not like there's nothing wrong with me. But
that's a nice clear thing, isn't it? Hey, I don't have energy right now.
Yeah,
just honest. It's being really honest.
Yeah.
What's
and
happening.
You know, no one can get angry from that or say like, you know.
Yeah. So what you mentioned about just taking care of yourself, are there any other things that you found that work around you looking after your own energy or taking care of yourself?
Yes. Well, right now I try to spend as much time as I can alone. And for me, it works really good to be in the nature. It likes, and especially to get my feet on the like grounding, like no shoes, nothing. Now it's going to be a bit cold in Finland, but if I do that, it's like all of the other energies and stuff that I have in my field, they just go into the earth, and then what is left is this like totally clear, like really clear thoughts and head and everything. It's so nice.
So it's almost like you feel maybe you're picking stuff up in those open centers, and that then you can go put your feet on the ground and let those energies clear out.
Yeah.
Come back to you.
Yeah. And not even necessarily like, even if I just hang around in my home, or in my home, and I don't see anybody, but it's like all of this, well, I don't know how much I should talk about this, but like electricity and electromagnetic fields and radiation, this kind of, and being so high up from the ground, not being in the level of the ground, because then you are not in the magnetic field of Earth, of Mother
So
Earth.
you're talking about living in a high-rise building where you feel less connected to Earth.
Yes.
Yeah. So are you in a high-rise now? Is it like a 10th floor, 12th floor or something?
Yeah, it's maybe 10 meters.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So what's your environment on your human design?
What?
Your environment is mountains, isn't it?
Yeah. Passive mountains.
Mountains. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And do you find that do you because I was reading, I'm not so familiar with all the environments. I'm valleys wide, but with the mountains, I know that you know this thing about how all the environments can be found in all of the different places. So there's the idea of like, hey, okay, if you're mountains and you're at the top of a building, that can be that can be really powerful to be up there. It's like the urban mountain.
Yeah.
That's a thing. So let's see your we'll pull that on your chart again. So this is an advanced chart. People who are new to human design will see there's a bit more detail to this, and the environment mountains is over here on the right.
I had once an apartment. I was living in the top. It was in the city, but I was living in the top floor.
Yes.
And I had a balcony, and I had this nice, like, this little rising before the balcony, and then this was like, there was a wall, and there was a window that was the whole size of the wall. So the whole
like a
wall
glass
was just
wall.
window. Yeah. And that was like, I did my yoga there. I did everything there. It was like, I really enjoyed it. It was really nice.
Super nice.
Yeah. And I think that's like the place that I've felt most comfortable, because it was on the top. You could see everything. You would sit on the floor. You could still see everything through the windows. So I liked it.
Yeah.
Even if it was in the city.
Yeah. So maybe that felt a bit like a mountain sort of.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Cool.
But when I went outside from the apartment, then I was not happy.
Right. A lot of energies down there, the different people in the city.
Yeah. And it was not a good part in the city, so there was like junkies around, and a lot of it was a quite sketchy place. So
was this in Helsinki or somewhere else?
Yes, Helsinki.
Yeah, I spent a little bit of time over there.
Nice.
Yeah, I stayed with a friend once, and we watched the ocean freeze over just to the west of Helsinki, like maybe an hour and a half drive. And we stayed in a cabin there, and it got really cold. And then we saw the ocean freezing bit by bit. Really beautiful to see.
Wow.
Still moving, still frozen, kind of like. And then it was minus 20.
Oh my God, it was in the winter?
Yeah, it was like New Year's Eve.
Oh, nice. Okay.
So yeah, that was it was an interesting adventure. But maybe I'll talk about that another time. But how do you find it in Finland with the seasons? Because obviously in the summer you have a lot of daylight, and in the winter you have a lot of darkness. How do you find do you feel that you have more energy in the summer and less in the winter? How does that play out?
Yes.
That's pretty standard for Finnish, right?
And I think it's for like everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And the more north you go, the more you will have alcoholism and like unemployment, because it's so hard psychologically and also physically, that people just can't take it and then they start drinking and stuff.
Yeah.
But it's not so hard if there's actually snow, because then it reflects the light. It's and it also makes the noise lower, so it's real nice. If there's a good winter, it's real nice. But anyways, I don't even try to do anything in winter. It's like
right.
no.
Yeah. So the snow gives you that white blanket, gives you a bit more light from what light there is. And it dulls the noise a bit as well. Yeah, I get that. I've never been in the dark in Scandinavia without snow. So that's the thing there. And so you have. Let's talk about waiting for the invitation. Like, how have you been going with that? Have you obviously you were invited to come and do this?
Yes.
What have been your favorite invitations that you've had so far to do things?
This is a nice question. I had in the summer, I had an invitation to play in a festival, and it just clicked. I was like, yeah. I mean, not in the moment. I'm Splenic. In the moment he asked, I was like, yeah, let's see. I don't know. And then when it started to come closer and closer, I started to feel more and more like this, like, yeah, this is a good thing. And then I went there, and it was, for me, it was success. It was really nice. And it opened a lot of other possibilities.
Cool. So was that your first time playing at a festival?
No, it was not my first time, but it was first time that I felt recognized.
Yeah. Beautiful.
Yeah.
So does that feel so you went to festivals and played before, but this was the first time you felt recognized. What was the difference? Because this is a question we've had in the group a lot, which is, how can you tell? You know, you might be invited because they're like, oh yeah, she's a musician, great, we need a musician. Or it maybe they see something special or particular about you and they're like, oh, we need Alyssa. Wow, will you come and do it? Because we've seen, you know, just how you engage with people, or we've seen what you do, and there's real recognition. So I don't know if you could talk a little about the difference of those two. Like, how does it feel when you have recognition compared to when you don't?
Well, it's for me, it's quite easy because if there's people, I get recognized. But when sometimes I went to festivals, and it's like this, I played in this morning sadhana, which is from 5 a.m. to 8 a.m. So, you know, in a festival, people are asleep at that time.
Right.
But this, it was called Namaste Himos. And there was like hundreds of people in the morning. And I was like, oh, right, nice. And then after this thing, there was like, people came to me. If they saw me, they were like, you were so good. Was it you? And like, wow, amazing. And then they would take me and, hey, let me introduce you to my friend. And she organizes things. And then the friend is, okay, I will get your, you know, contact information. And then they contact me, and then they are like, okay, can you hold this kirtan, blah, blah, blah. So
you're doing kirtan at that in the morning at the festivals, and
yeah,
sounds like an environment that's like right people, right place. Sounds like the Open G Center would like that environment, being in that situation where you're recognized.
What?
With the Open G Center is all about having the right people in the right place. So it sounds like the festival seems like a good environment.
Yes.
With those particular festivals.
Yes, it was good environment because this Himos is in Finland. It's this big company. They have a lot of money. They have a lot of tourism there, and I think it's like snowboarding stuff. There's hills and this kind of thing. So, and I think it was the right place because I didn't have to sleep in a tent. I didn't have to work, you know, to survive. It was like everything was set. There was really nice cabins. There was silence. I had space around me. I didn't have to share a room with anybody. So
It's nice if you have your own space and you can feel comfortable.
yeah, for sure,
Yeah,
for sure.
yeah, for sure. Cool. And so you've got splenic authority. Do you have you had experiences where like how does that work for you? Have you had experiences where you look back and you're like, oh my God, thank you, my spleen knew? Or have you had experiences where the spleen said no, but you did it anyway? Like, how's that experiment been looking back?
For them both, yes. I've
Yeah.
had the both experiences. But just recently I had my spleen said no. Okay, it's this apartment. I got an it was not the straight invitation, but it was kind of an invitation through WhatsApp, like, hello, I have room in my, do you want to come see this? And what I felt, I didn't feel any energy pull towards the message. I didn't feel any impulse to answer the message. And I didn't answer it for 2 weeks, 3 weeks. Then something happened. My mind was like, maybe it would be, you know, like this, I don't want to be rude. Maybe it would be good if I answered. Then I was like, hello, nice. What is this? Can you tell me about this? And then that was a point of no return. And then it just went, I went to see this, and she was like, yeah, come live here. And I was like, everything in myself was like, no, 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 don't say no, say no. And then I just couldn't do it. And then I signed the contract and I came to live with her. And the person living here is a manifesting generator 4/6 profile split definition, and like 30 years old. And it was like, I was terrible. So I don't know what happened, but every single night I had nightmares, and the nightmares ended just when she moved out. And I was maybe spending 5 nights with her in this apartment of total 2 months. And after she moved out, what happened to me is I cried for maybe like 5 hours straight, and I was in the floor in like a fetal position and thinking, just wanting to die. I was like, okay, I want to die, I want to die. This is not good. And after I went through this emotional experience, I understood that, okay, this is the stress I'm releasing from this experience. And after that, I was like, you know, myself again. But I got so much stress from this manifesting generator, being with her in the space. And all this time, my spleen was like, don't go there, don't go there. And it was also everything about nothing flowed in the situation. So that, I think that's one sign. If something is not supposed to happen, it will not flow. And it was, we tried to sign the contract like maybe 3 times, and there was always something wrong. And then we needed to meet again in some place, and the time was running out. And before I was about to sign, I was like, fuck, I just want to cancel this whole thing. I would just say, sorry, I will not move there. But I couldn't do it because I thought that's really rude. And I was like, I can't do it because then the other person is going to get in trouble. So I wanted to save this manifesting generator from her own issues, which is like, totally don't do it.
So let's have a look at your chart again and see if we can see where this is in your chart. So it's interesting because when I've heard, I mean, I'm splenic too, and I also get that kind of like sometimes something comes again and again, but all the things I've read say that the spleen only talks once. So it's something interesting. It's something interesting that I'm not clear about. I mean, the spleen also is supposed to only say no. And then there's the discussion of like, yeah, but if your spleen only ever says no, like, how do you, how do you do anything in life if everything's like, no, 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 no. The other thing I read about the spleen that was very interesting is that the ajna center, which is the green triangle up at the top, is another sensing center, and that's many times more easily heard than the spleen. And then the emotional center is many times more easily heard than the ajna. So it's like the spleen is almost like the most subtle of all of the sensing centers, the least noisy, the least loud. So that was very interesting. The other thing is that your emotional center, the white triangle on the right, is undefined, and you have just one gate activated, which is 49. It's the gate of revolution, but the rest of it is totally white. So what this means is that you're probably aware how it amplifies the emotions of those around you.
Yes.
It's receptive. So, you know, if your friend who's a manifesting generator, if you're sleeping anywhere, not your friend, the housemate that you were in the same house as, you're going to be receiving all that energy in the sacral. You're going to be receiving that emotional energy in the emotional center, and then those things are going to be amplified. And it sounds like then after she moved out, that stuff that was in you was needing to come out and clearing itself out of your system.
Yes.
With whatever and it's funny, isn't it, because we're in a society where we think that if someone is crying or, you know, shouting or sobbing or, you know, whatever emotion is moving out of them, that it's like there's something wrong with them. And it kind of, I don't know, do you feel like it's a healthy thing to allow all that stuff out of your system?
Yes, absolutely. It's
Right.
toxic if you keep it inside. It's toxic. But I think the line goes that don't hurt other people with it. So let's have anger. Okay, I'm angry. It's not good to shout to other people, or it's not good to, you know, express the anger to the other people. But it's good to feel the anger, and maybe if you want to express it somehow, then go for it.
Did you ever come across that, nothing to do with human design, but did you ever come across the dynamic meditation from Osho where you yell and shout? And
yeah, I've done it. It's crazy.
So that's an example of a space where there can be a healthy expression of the feelings, to clear out stuff from the emotional side, especially when it's a space where everybody understands that that's what's being done. It's not a personal thing to do that. I mean, I find that's another ironic thing, isn't it? We talked a little bit about society and depression, but this is a fascinating thing, isn't it? Where, you know, from little, if a baby cries, everybody's like, oh, there, don't cry. But, you know, and I wonder if, I mean, sure, you know, it's possible to overindulge in emotions and get lost in emotions, but maybe the baby is just knowing the baby feels something, and then out comes the feeling, like laughter, anger, sadness, and it seems to be very normal to say to that baby, oh, no, here, have a dummy in your mouth, or here, you know, so yeah, it seems like you have a healthy expression for your feelings, by letting it out rather than bottling it up, right?
Yeah.
Let's see what's happening in the chat here. Pascal's here. Pascal used to go to the seaside and yell her lungs out, and now she sings them out on the motorway. Yeah. How have you found the split definition in your chart? You have a very similar split to me along that 1648 channel there. Let's pull your chart up again for people who are watching this. So that's on the left side. You mentioned a little bit about having had some relationships that didn't work out so well, or that was a challenge. Do you find this thing about how a split definition is looking for a sense of wholeness through connecting with other people or relationship, that kind of thing.
Yes. For sure.
I feel like there's more to it than just a yes. Anything you're going to share with us?
Yeah, it's well, it's really clear for me. If I spend too much time not seeing anybody, I will start feeling really. I will start feeling like I don't exist, like really somehow. Not. I feel like a ghost if I don't see somebody. Kind of disconnected from life, and I really would like to live alone in nature, but I don't know if it's good for me, because then I would be alone.
Well, because at the same time, you're a fourth line, right? So
yeah.
Fourth line is about, you know, your network, your people, your tribe,
Yes.
Opportunities coming from the tribe, you know, having connections and contacts. So it sounds like what you're describing is more of a hermit kind of life, where you're away from people. Like, have you experienced that in that fourth line thing in terms of, I mean, it sounded like when you were at the festival, you had people in that specific environment. It sounded like that was working. Yeah, I'm wondering if like, how is it for you being a fourth line? You know, your life compared to what you read about as a projector, as in human design. Like, how do you compare those things?
Being a fourth line. Well, it's a bit tricky subject for me, because I feel like I don't have friends, but then I have a group of people who are like knit together, and I get opportunities through those people. But I don't feel like, or maybe I could, yes, maybe I'm just blind to my own life, because I could say that there's a tribe here of people interested in the same things, and some people I've known for when I ended my previous life in Tampere, and then I moved here, and I've known some of the people for 5 years or something, and we are still hanging around. I mean, like, it has not ended, the invitation yet, or I don't know. But it's like it's tricky. And you know, I actually wonder this thing about the fourth line. Are fourth line people supposed to become independent through being dependent, or is it so that fourth line people are supposed to find a sugar mama or sugar, what is this, dad, to provide for them, because this sugar people.
I don't think human design ever said that someone should find a sugar daddy. In life. What I hear though is when you were describing about how it was in the festival, where you were recognized and people were acknowledging you, and, you know, connecting you with other people and saying, oh, hey, I need you to meet this person and that person.
Yeah.
Alyssa, that to me feels like an example of the fourth line. What you were describing there.
Yes. Yeah.
And it sounds like, you know, that was interesting, because that came following on from an invitation. So there was a recognition, and there was an invitation. And then the other thing I've found personally for me being a projector is that when I'm in a group of people, if I'm guiding other people in some way, it feels really good. You know, so I hear you saying you were doing the kirtan, and you were guiding people energetically in you know, kirtan's working with energy, so you're there guiding the group of people. So my sense of being a projector, and it may be different for other projectors, but my sense is if I'm in a group, I shouldn't be following the crowd and being like a sheep amongst a bunch of sheep. That doesn't feel good to me, to be like all going the same as everybody else. Whereas if I'm leading, I feel really good. It energizes me, because it's almost like my open sacral gets a chance to clarify the energy of the people around me. So, you know, that's the thing about guiding generators, is that we have the undefined sacral, they have the defined sacral. So just in the right setup, just our presence has that clarifying effect. So they may feel they can rest, or they may feel energized, or whatever needs to happen. And it happens when it's in the correct alignment. So I'm wondering if that might have been what was happening when you were at the festival. And of course, the thing with profile is we're not trying to live a fourth line life. We're not trying saying, oh, you know, you should be in a community because you're a fourth line. It's not like that. But it's saying that it should emerge over time as you follow your strategy and authority. So and at the same time, you know, avoiding conflict and truth, like yeah, that's the open, you know, we talked about the open emotional center amplifying things, but also where am I avoiding conflict and truth? And that was interesting because you talked about feeling like you didn't want to be rude, you didn't want to you know, with signing a contract, when you felt in yourself it didn't feel right to you. So this is, you know, where am I avoiding conflict and truth in the body graph? How did you spend any time living as a, like, trying to be a generator? You know, the not self, how do I know when enough's enough? Did you spend time trying to do the 9 to 5, or trying to make yourself be productive, or that kind of thing?
Yes. Yes, I think most of us have
right, it's not uncommon.
fell into the what is the word Ra uses in this, the not Maya but the program, yes, into the trap of, you know. And I tried to work really hard, and what happened was I worked until I collapsed, like physically. Yeah. Because I mean, as an energy projector, do you find you sometimes have energy and sometimes don't have energy, but it's just not consistent? Yes.
And of course that isn't fitting into a 9 to 5 days a week kind of rhythm. I mean, it's I wonder how it would look if there was a workplace that really honored that flow of energy for a projector who's an energy projector, who sometimes has energy and sometimes doesn't.
Yeah, maybe it's the workplace is to be an entrepreneur, you know.
I have heard about places where there's like you know, you work to get the result, and it's like you don't have hours. You just have to get certain things done. That's requires like a lot of trust, right? Both ways around to do that. Because I've also heard a lot from projectors that when they go in, they can do, you know, a lot of people feel like, well, they can go in and in 1 hour do what takes everybody else 4 hours to do when they do have the energy.
Yeah.
Which seems to be not recognized in most people's workplaces, because it's kind of like evaluated by your hours of being at work.
Yeah, I don't understand. You know, people go there and even generators are well, yes, generators, like the last maybe 1.5 hour or 2 hours, they just spend time. They don't work anymore because they don't have energy to work anymore. So they
just
try to, like, you know, they pass the time somehow, and they get paid for that. And it's like, what is this system? Like, who invented it?
Yeah, you're getting paid to watch the clock to wait to go home.
Yeah, for sure. And then some people can just, of course, people work also, but then there happens this, that they just want to pass time because they don't have energy. So, and there are studies that actually 6-hour workday brings even better results than 8-hour. The same results or even better. So,
I mean, I've certainly found that, I mean, I have the defined will, which is the opposite, where you have it totally open. So I've found, like, if I've made a promise to do something, like, I can find energy from elsewhere, from, even if I don't feel like I've got energy, I can follow through and get it done. But then when I lose that willpower for something, when I don't have the will to do it, it's just like, nah. You couldn't get me out of bed if there was the house was burning down kind of thing. So,
yeah.
Anna says here that she can do more in a day than most people, but she never noticed a lack of energy for her. Raluca relates with working until she's gotten sick in the past. It's almost like maybe it's the body's way of saying, look, you know, your mind is going to keep on pushing you in your not self to work. So we've got to make you fucking sick so you just stop. You know, like I felt like with me being depressed, it was almost like my spirit was saying to me, you just got to stop. I'm going to take away your energy completely. Now, Pascal had a question. She was asking about if you've explored much your motivation as hope. And that's the same motivation that she has.
Yes.
So it's like if there's some sense of hope, something that lights you up, that can inspire you, or that can help you to go forward, where otherwise it might not. Is that something you've worked with?
What is the question?
The question is how you find it having hope as your motivation. Or if it's something you've experimented with.
Well, I've tried to like watch it when I'm in a relationship, and what I watch is that when I start to feel guilty, or if I start to blame the other one, or if the other one starts to blame me, then I know it's over. But if I feel open in the relationship, if I feel the energy is like, it's like this, it's open, the energy, and I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know anything about the stuff, but I just feel good inside, like hopeful. Then I know it's nice. And I also have this, my perspective is no, I don't remember. Is it probability? No, that's my transference.
Probability.
Yeah. So it's also like I can't have any. I can't be sure about anything what's going to happen, but I will just know, okay, this is the possibility, and I have hope, so everything's cool. But I don't know if when I'm alone, and if am I supposed to feel hopeful all the time when I'm alone also, or is it like okay if I because I constantly try to fix myself, and I like with self-help?
It sounds to me like you're going to be naturally drawn towards things where there's a sense of optimism and a sense of something positive could happen. Those things are going to feel good for you, rather than doing something because you feel you should. Like if someone says, you know, you should be doing, can you do some washing up? And you feel like you have an obligation to do the washing up. It doesn't feel like that's good. It doesn't feel good. Whereas if you're working towards something with some kind of, there's a hope of something happening in the future, that feels like it's going to motivate you more. Like there'll be more energy there for it. Yes. Does that resonate?
Yeah, for sure.
Right.
And I actually just remembered that what comes from me really naturally is this kind of not preacher, but this people who elevates others and inspires others and brings hope to others. Like sometimes I have like this really hope, like this feeling of having really much like love and optimism and even joy about the future, and then spreading it like, hey, do you know, like explaining stuff it's because of this and this and this, and then like everything's gonna be so good and it's gonna be okay, and then people are like, wow, thanks, that's so good, oh, like hearts and
beautiful.
Yeah.
Do you know there's a song, I think it's Fat Freddy's Drop, that's called Hope? There's a really beautiful song. I'm gonna post that. I'm gonna find that and share it later.
All right.
It's a beautiful, deep feeling. It kind of captures the feeling of hope, and it's called Hope as well. So I think it's called Hope for a Generation or something. We'll find that. We'll maybe pop that in the description somewhere. But
Yeah.
I get a sense that it almost feels like you're waiting for the right people in your life. You're waiting for people where you do feel hope, where you do feel that you're seen and recognized, not because you're trying to be an energy person when you're not an energy person, but that you're seen for who you are and valued and for that, rather than people trying to get you to be different to how you are energetically.
Yes. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. I have a feeling like there's kind of like that you can really thrive in the right kind of community, but because you're so sensitive, it has to be a kind of community that you feel good around, where it's people that have done some work, or people that have, you know, have some inner clarity, and people that, you know, have you been invited to guide anyone specifically? Has that been something that's come into your path? Yeah. I mean, as a sixth line, it's probably like a later in life kind of thing, you know, like, I mean, I hope you stick around, because, you know, when you get 50, you get to be a role model. So hopefully you can make
20 more years.
Yeah, well, you're on the roof now, right? Or you're going on,
it's gonna get easier. But not personally. Like, I've invited sometimes to, like 2 times I've been invited to interpret a human design chart, and they were like, okay, I will pay you. And then I'm like, okay, I can check what I can see, but I never do it. Like, it stopped, the flow of energy stops there, because I don't know how to do it. I can just say something and then hope it's right, you know? So
you don't feel you're in a position to be a guide for others with human design at this
No, it's in the gods. It's in the hands of the universe, and whatever happens, if it's my path, then it's gonna be my path. But it's not like it's not like I would like to be there. And of course, I would love to know everything about this technology, because, well, you know, why not?
Sure.
But yeah. But I think the guiding happens more right now, at least, with when I am invited to sing.
Yeah.
That's because that's like it's like straight. It's the most straightforward way to guide energy to your voice, because it's vibration. So when you sing, you bring out some frequency, and then if the space allows, if the people are open, it's gonna change their frequency also. And then you can do whatever. You can do this, or you can go really high, or you can like open the crown, or you can open the heart. And I feel like that is, and then they get an experience of what it feels to be with heart opened, or they get an experience what it feels to be really like concentrated and the crown open. And I think that's my guiding at this moment.
Anna has said here that she definitely relates to spreading hope. It's her motivation, and she feels more hope. People feel more hopeful when they've been together. So it's almost like it's a currency for her of hope. Pascal says that inspiring seems to be the word that's coming back. And she says that you light up when you say that. The gate of creativity and Pluto, which seems to have an importance in your path. Creativity attracts people. Some things she can see in your chart. And that's gate 1, which is on the G center.
Yeah.
Top of it's the most yang of all the gates. It's the all of the lines solidly colored in, all 6 lines colored in. And you have it in both conscious and unconscious in Pluto there. Do you have any questions about your chart that you want to or that you're learning about at the moment?
Yes, I have this on the emotional center, this
the gate 49. I know about that one.
Yeah, because I think what I understand about open centers is that, okay, there's me and then there's person who has defined emotional center. I'm gonna feel his or her energy, and it's gonna be distorted and get stronger in me. But the way I express it out is through that one gate that is activated. So it's kind of like, what I'm really interested about is how does the emotional energy get mutated in me, and how does it come out? Like, what is the gate? Was it 33? I don't remember. For the
The gate you have on the emotional center is gate 49.
Oh, right.
And that's my sun gate, so I know a little about that one. Gate 49 is the gate of the hatchet, is the keynote. I'm going to be careful with my terminology because I'm not yet super precise, but it is the gate of revolution.
Okay, nice.
And it's all about bringing change. You know, it's doing things in a new way. It's a tribal gate. And it's the hatchet. It's all about like chopping out things that don't work, coming up with new ways of doing things. You know, the French Revolution, they chopped everyone's head off. So it's kind of like it can be quite strong. I also have the gate of provocation, which is the 39 next, like kind of on the spleen, which you don't, on the root, which you do not have. Yeah. But yeah, gate 49 is the revolution. I have similar to you in that I have that center. The emotional center is not defined. I have gate 22. So the key thing for me is how I experience it is that when I'm in a space where I'm feeling a lot of emotional turbulence, to actually realize it's not me. And that's helped me to be able to just feel it and see it, but it's kind of like I'm observing the wave rather than riding on the wave and getting thrown around all over the place. Because I used to feel really like out of control with that, and also like nothing I could do could clear it, and it wasn't mine, and that's why. Whereas I felt like it was mine. So that for me has really helped. It was just like this aha moment of like, because when I looked at human design and I learned about the types, I was like, before I really knew my chart very well, I was trying to figure it out. And I was like, oh yeah, I'm a really emotional person. I must have emotional authority. But having an open emotional center, we can actually feel the waves of all the people around us more so. It's like the tail of the beast is whipping up and down. Like, you know, if the creature itself is moving like this, but the tail is like amplifying that sensation. And I'm like here getting flicked by this tail, but actually it's not coming from me. And that really helped me to, you know, like just be more at peace with it, and not get thrown around as much by all that emotional energy. So I haven't really put the two things together as far as the gate of revolution and the emotional center. So from what you were saying, you were feeling about it being expressed on that one gate. It's the only gate that you have.
Yeah, that's something I've read in the groups.
Yeah,
and I'm wondering how it manifests in this, like in real life.
Right. I mean, this is the thing, isn't it? You read something and then it's like, okay, how does this fit for me?
Yeah.
So yeah, that specific piece of information I haven't researched apart from what I've said there.
Yeah, maybe I want to, if I get a lot of other people's emotional energy, then I want to just start a revolution or something. I don't know. Or be a rebel, or because with her. But it's interesting also because this manifesting generator had an open emotional center also. But I guess it's about the synergy. So then if we combine, then it gets defined, the emotional center.
Or they could have some gates on the emotional center, or you might be feeling the sacral center.
There's emotions in there.
Well, there's energy in the sacral center.
Ah, and it can manifest as emotions.
Well, it's. I mean, do you have the clarity to be able to like often with that, with, you know, it's like you're taking in all those energies. So you're also going to be taking in the, if she has, I'm presuming it's a woman, if she has gates,
Yes.
you're going to be feeling those, all of the defined gates are being felt by the open gates that you've got, right?
Mm-hmm.
So on a surface level, it's like there's the emotional center. Is it colored in or not? And it's like yin and yang, but it's a lot more nuanced than that. And you know, I don't have that clarity myself to be able to feel the difference between, oh, that's 100% sacral energy and that's 100% emotional energy. So for me, I feel it all as energy. So I don't have that clarity. I mean, you may have that clarity of distinction to be able to say that's emotional energy and that's sacral energy.
Well, I don't know, because they say that sacral and the root, that they are, this is something I read also on the groups, that they are like pure energy centers, that there's nothing more than it's just energy. And then it's through the channels, it gets like manifested either from the spleen or as emotions, or it goes to the throat or something. I don't know.
The root's certainly a very neutral energy. The root is it's like a, you know, it doesn't have that, you know, it's a motor which is feeding through the other centers. So the energy from the root feeds through the spleen, it feeds through the sacral, and it feeds through the emotional center. So, and that energy wants to be discharged.
Yes.
That root energy.
How about this channel? Because I have this channel from the root to the spleen.
The 3254.
Yeah. So what's that about?
The person I know, I don't know this channel particularly well, but the person I know who has it is a splenic projector, and he was astounded to find he was a projector, because he's been living totally as a generator. And when we looked at that channel, I remember feeling like, oh, this channel has like an energy of getting shit done and you know, doing things. Quite an active channel. So you've got that, the 3254. You've got it. I'm just looking at where it is in your chart. Yeah.
I hope someone has this channel, so they are interested in the answers.
Right, right.
In the chat.
Yeah, it could be something to research more. Like I don't have a lot of expertise on that channel, but it's a Bible channel, and I definitely remember it being about getting things done. You know, like it was like creating change. So that could be one to research more into. The one I know really well is the 2343, which is the Freak to Genius channel that I have as well, that Pascal has. We seem to have had a lot of projector gatherings with people who have the cross of explanation.
Okay.
Right. So I have it. You have it. Pascal has it. So and Pascal has it the same way round as you. So your birthday, I can't remember which way round it is, but your birthday is either going to be the same day or the same kind of time of year as Pascal, or opposite on the other side of the year.
Well,
so I can't
I'm
remember
born on the November.
You're November, huh?
Yes.
Right. So Pascal,
14th.
November 14th. So Pascal is...
Yes, Scorpios.
Scorpio too, right? So she's got 43 as her
Really?
sun. So Pascal, are you a 4-6 as well? I think Pascal is right. So basically, if your sun gate is 43 and it's on the 4th line, you're going to be pretty much have the same birthday. It might be like slightly a few hours either side.
Pascal, what year are you born?
So this is the Freak to Genius channel, and it's a channel that is part of the right angle cross of explanation.
Yeah.
Right. He's 76. So, and the key thing about this this 4323 is that it is all about timing. So when the timing is good, it's like, yeah, there's the timing. You're brilliant. When the timing is off, it's like, what the hell are you talking about? You're a freak.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. You know what happened to me after I had this emotional purge when she moved out?
Mm-hmm.
I went into a mode that, okay, I want to decondition. I will be just alone. And from that, she moved out on Friday. And since that, I've been alone. And what happened after that is I'm getting constantly this like everything just snaps. And then I get a revelation. Like I understand. Suddenly I understand something. I'm like,
some
oh my
clarity's
God.
coming through.
Yeah. What?
You're getting some clarity coming through.
Yeah. And it's like constant. There's like, I get something, oh no, I understand this big thing. And then the next one comes and then I'm just downloading this stuff. And I think that's, I'm not sure, but I would think that's about also about this right angle cross of explanation and this Freak to Genius channel.
Yeah, the correct name for the channel is the channel of structuring.
Ah, yes.
Which makes a lot of sense for just things coming into order.
Yeah.
Something you might be very interested in is have you were talking about the depressive thing of whether it's for you personally or whether it's a function of living in Finland. Are you familiar with the melancholy gates?
I've heard, but I don't remember what they are.
Right. So if you know which are your individual gates in your design, you can start to look at the gates of melancholy here. So can you see that okay?
Yes.
Melancholy coming through. So gate 43 is melancholy over inefficiency. That's on the ajna. Above that, gate 61 on the head center is melancholy over lack of inspiration. Then going down, we've got gate 23, frustration over not being able to explain oneself clearly. Gate 1, melancholy about no one paying attention to you. Gate 14, melancholy about not having to work or not. I'm not quite sure what that means, but it's to do with your life force energy work. Gate 60 down the bottom, melancholy about having nowhere to go. Gate 38, again on the root, not knowing what to fight for. So those are your individual gates which have a melancholy. And the thing with the melancholy is it's about waiting for the correct timing of the energy, and it's about they're not activated the whole time. So the energy comes in pulses, and while you're waiting for the energy, that's when the melancholy can set in. So this can help to actually be able to see, okay, I'm feeling the melancholy of, not knowing what to fight for, or whatever it might be, or I'm not feeling efficient, or not being seen as efficient. And so it can help to just recognize that and allow it and wait, and then when the energy comes, it's there. But really knowing with all these individual circuit that the energy is it's not a consistent, continuous flow of energy. It comes and goes. Well, that's an interesting thing to explore. So yeah, that's the gates of melancholy.
This is good. This melancholy about not being seen as being different, because I've always thought that somehow I have a little bit of this. What is the word? Being like
invisible?
No, being like you're worse than me. This like I'm so good. This run there.
Who's good? Who's
me?
You're worried about tall poppy. Is it you're worried about thinking you're better than other people?
No, I've had this tendency of being really arrogant. That is the word. Yes.
Arrogant.
Yeah, and then thinking that I'm different, and then I felt guilty about it. Like, what is going on? How can you be so arrogant? Like, that is really stupid. And then nowadays I understand that it's actually it's kind of true. But the funny thing is that I'm not the only one different in this world. There's a bunch of other people from this tribe of projectors. So,
I had a
it's quite nice.
funny, when I was at school, I used to get teased a lot because I was different.
Yeah.
You know, I would turn up at school with my sandwiches in a bag from the flour. My mum and dad made the bread, and then they put the sandwiches back into the flour bag, and that was in my lunch. And then I had pickled beetroot and things, and it was delicious. But the other kids at school were like, you're different. And it was funny because I remember at the time that, you know, I was a kid and I was quite logical, you know, channel of structuring.
Yeah.
And I was thinking to myself, I was like, well, I am different. But then I'm looking around and I'm like, but isn't everyone different? Like, you know, it was almost like I kind of knew there was human design before I knew it, you know. I'm like, what do you mean I'm different? If I'm different, that means you're all the same. And that doesn't make any sense. So it's a stupid insult because it's sort of, you know, of course I'm different. We're all different.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, so, I know for me, arrogance was really like, arrogance for me came with feeling like I was talented in some area, but then the part that made it arrogant instead of confidence was cutting off from other people, being like, well, I'm really good at this thing, therefore I can't connect with you, you know, and that was where the arrogance was. And as a guide or a teacher, it's terrible because it means like, you know, if that's my genius, then I should be getting paid to teach other people that thing rather than, you know, I'm better than you. So arrogance is an interesting journey. So yeah, that's certainly something that I used to be a very arrogant person.
Yeah.
But it can be a bit lonely being arrogant.
Yeah, I don't know if it's a projector thing, like knowing that you're somehow like really advanced. Can I say this word? Like different, and that you like understand and you see things, and you're like, what the hell is going on with the world and this 9-to-5 jobs and all that, and then somehow I think it's might be like a defense from this to like you close your heart, you go, okay, I'm so much better than everybody else, so I can just, you know, I'm being arrogant, and then you don't have to deal with anything. So
yeah, there's certainly for me
a
place of safety in it, a place of saying, well, hey, I'm arrogant, you know, therefore I don't have to, you know, I'm just better than you.
Yeah.
You know? It's like, well, great, how's that working out for you?
Yeah.
So, you know, arrogance can be one of those places that people hide. I'm speaking of myself here, so I don't know, that may be something that is relevant for you, but anyway, that's how it was. So, yeah. So of course you have the open, we haven't talked about the open will center, the completely open will center. The not self question for the undefined will is, where am I acting like I have something to prove? And of course, you know, making promises is not your best friend. Promising I am going to do this is not your friend. And the same as with Thomas, is that you need a whole channel to define your will, right? So just one gate is not going to define that will. It needs the whole channel, because none of the gates that point towards it are defined. So how has that been for you in terms of, did you go through a phase in life where you felt you had to promise to do things and then let people down?
Yes, constantly. I was working as a house cleaner at some time, and then I exhausted myself because I cleaned it so like perfect, like so over. I was like, I'm gonna do this so over good that they are totally going to notice me, and then they will be like, you did so good job, you are such a good worker. But I never got that recognition, and I just worked harder and harder and wiped like dust off from plants, leaves, like stuff people don't do. I was just focusing on details and trying to do everything like perfect, and just like waiting. I just wanted some praise, you know?
I mean, cleaning is one of those jobs, isn't it? Where it's one of those things where you know, like they say how bad managers only tell you if you've done something wrong, but if you do it really well, you're invisible. You know, like cleaning is one of those jobs for sure.
Yeah.
As someone who cleans my boat regularly for guests, you know, if it's a 5-star clean, yeah, you work really hard and you did it. It was clean, and it's like no one ever says, "Oh wow, you did a good job with the clean." It's like a hair in the shower. Like, there's a hair in the shower. You know, it doesn't matter that you spent 3 hours getting the whole damn thing perfect. One little thing. So,
yeah.
But I think people do register it on the unconscious level.
Mm.
You can feel when you go in a space if someone's put some love into the space.
No, it was not love. It was just desperation.
There was no hope going on there. You were trying to see. You were like,
I was desperate for some love from somebody. It's the truth.
Yeah, it's very honest of you.
Yeah.
I mean, was that how it was in your family, that you know, it's like you had to just be quiet and be perfect, and then you might get some love, but you never did, sort of thing?
No, it was, the first part was I mean, yes. I was hoping to, I don't know if I just was focusing on surviving, because I never got really any praise. I started playing the cello when I was 8 years old, and everything that had to do anything with music, I would always get judged. I would be told that you could do this better, and you had a little mistake there, and blah blah blah. And I was never good enough for anybody in my family, and I was loved by my father. He took me in his arms, and but he was working most of the time. So yeah.
Well, I'm just checking the comments here. Dale's made a really nice, a lot. You know, so all this stuff to integrate whilst you're on the roof means that this is where you can give wisdom to others, you know. So it's kind of like learning from the open centers, meaning you can then, as a role model, it takes time to mature to really be a role model. And, you know, you're going into that phase of, you know, integrating it all. So, like I say, I hope you stick around, and that you can come down off the roof when you're 50 and enjoy being seen. And you know, it's a 6-line thing of taking time. And yeah, I hope you're invited to your tribe, which gives you that sense of hope, and that people see you and you know, acknowledge you and recognize you. Yeah. Is there anything else you wanted to share before we wrap up?
No, I'm really excited for the roof phase. Maybe I can have a nice home and rest a little bit and do some things that I enjoy, instead of having to bump my head into wrong people and wrong places and trying to survive. So I'm waiting for that roof.
Yeah. I want to honor your journey and wish you well with that phase, huh? You know, it's, and thanks for sharing so honestly.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you.
Appreciate that. Yeah, beautiful. All right. Well, I will see you in internet land.
Yes.
Raluca's saying thanks for sharing. Yeah, and just, you know, just that hope, you know, whatever gives you hope is beautiful to motivate you.
Yeah, I'm feeling now really hopeful. So thanks for this.
Beautiful. Yeah.
Yay.
Well, let's stay connected, and we'll wrap up there. And thanks so much for being on.
Yeah, thank you. Ciao.